How do you become a well-known coach? How do you shift your identity? That's what we're going to talk about in today's podcast. What I want to challenge you to do is listen to the podcast and find three things that you can do today, three takeaways, three shifts you can make that I talk about in today's podcast. So, we're going to talk about the mental shifts, we're going to talk about the physical shifts, and we're going to talk about the actions that you need to take to really change your identity. So, how do you think you should go about changing your identity? And what is your current identity? Do you see yourself as a well-known coach, or is that going to come someday? Let's talk about how you could do that today. First, physically, how are you showing up? What could be the difference for you if you were physically embodying a successful coach? How would you actually be sitting here recording this podcast? What would your posture be as you talked about your business? What would the tone of your voice be? What would the confidence level in your voice be? How would you communicate? When you entered into a room, I want you guys to think about this. And for you, it's your Zoom room, right? It's not the room. Maybe it's networking, but how do you show up in front of your clients on consultation calls, during workshops? How do you show up even when you're in the middle of your certification, right? What level of confidence do you bring? What is the presence of conviction? Do you guys have that? What does that look like? Like you are so convinced and convicted and so certain and so clear on what you're doing. How does that look on you? What is the reflection that people see in you? I think about the posture of success. And I'm wondering, are you speaking about your passion or are you hiding it? Are you waiting until you have this before you do that? Or have you literally embodied it physically today, that you are a well-known coach, that you are a successful coach, that you can change the world, that you're the person who's going to make a difference for people? Physically, are you doing that? That's step one. All right, step two is mentally. I imagine that you would get dressed in the morning, or maybe just one time, maybe it only takes one shift, that you put on this new identity. It's like getting dressed. And, it's the becoming of who you are going to be as this well-known coach with this new identity. You would have this inner knowing. You would have this inner knowing, this deep sense of you knowing that you're on the right way, that this is your career. You're not just a coach. This is really who you are. You would be thinking about how much you love this work. The learning of building a business would not be a chore. It would be exciting. You'd be thinking about, oh my gosh, I just get to learn how to do this marketing thing. Now listen to this, you guys, because you need to do this. It's like, I just need to learn how to do this, because when I do this, then I reach more people. This is so exciting. This is a mental shift that you have. You think about the transformation you provide. I talk about brainwashing yourself, and I'm sure there's some better way to say this, but you have to continue to provide evidence to yourself that the coaching that you do really changes lives. I know for sure, and I can't believe for you. You got to believe it for yourself that coaching is magical. It changes lives. That the value of what somebody would spend to invest in coaching with you will deliver multiple times. I mean, to their life, to the people around them, it makes a huge difference. Are you working on the mindset of that? That's the mental part of it, is managing your mind. You have to think of the way that you serve, and you have to shift and create that identity. You should have a keen awareness of the stories you're telling yourself. Do you have those? I listened yesterday to a client who was sharing her heart with me, but what I heard was a lot of stories about who she was, and it wasn't stories that served her, about who she was, about why things weren't working for her, about how nothing had really worked for her in the past. You have to be onto yourself. Is that the identity that a well-known successful coach has? No, right? The identity of that is the identity that you are creating. And by the way, remember, your future successful self is available to you today. So you're not just working on a business. You already have a business. Do you hear that? That's like a mental shift. You have to decide, I'm not just a coach, I have a company. When you hear that voice that says, but you don't make any money, you say, yes, that might be true today, but I'm a coach who's building a profitable company. You don't worry about getting things wrong. You're like, look, I'm figuring it out. I'm doing it. When the self-judgment shows up, you lovingly approach it. I know for me, I'm doing the Walk and Talk series with Debbie on Instagram. And I know we're encouraging so many of you guys to get on Instagram and do those things as well. Look, you have to learn how to balance the voice of self-judgment and the loving voice that says, look, you're just human. You've got something significant to share to the world. So I hear the look at what you look like, right? Look at the wrinkles on your face. Look at how your hair is blowing in the wind. Look at how you sound. Oh, you should have done this or you should have done. I hear all that. And I also override it with, you are making a difference. People need to hear this. So the loving voice, the mental talk, is louder. The volume of it is louder than the self-judgment that is going on. I have space to carry both, actually. I'm not trying to just put it away because it's not realistic for me. It might be for you, but that's the mental work that you have to do while you're on a coaching call to maintain the identity of a successful, well-known coach. You are hearing that at the same time, like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. Oh, geez, do you know how to coach her around that? Oh, do you have an answer to that? It's like, no, the work that I do is good. I am prepared and ready. I know more than what the client knows, so I know I can help them. There's always an easy way out of the doubt that you have when you're in the middle of a call. You just pause for a moment and you say, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? Okay. So you give yourself space, the mental space to kind of catch up with the judgment that's coming along. So approach yourself lovingly. Start working on the mental belief day in and day out. And again, allowing space for some of the doubt that comes up. But this is truly an identity shift that you choose to make. This is work, you guys, to choose to make that identity shift. Then the third thing you guys have to do is take action. Every single day you have to take action. You have to do the talking. When I said physically, right? You physically walk into a room, you physically show up on Zoom with like a bigger personality, a larger presence, and then you do the talking, right? Instead of going into, your nail shop, your hairdresser, a restaurant, your church, wherever it is, now you're telling people about what you do. Instead of going in there and when people say, hey, what are you up to? You're like, oh, not much. Oh, I'm kind of overwhelmed. You're like, no. You start telling people about the life-changing work you're doing. That's the action. The physical is the posture. The mental is the chatter that goes on that you're managing it, right? You're managing all that kind of judgment talk that goes on with a loving, louder voice. You're saying, no, you're doing good. Go ahead and tell her. Go ahead and tell her what you do. So you're sharing. I thought about networking. I was talking about that yesterday in our marketing course. And I was saying, you got to be networking everywhere. And networking is the most effective thing you can do for your business. And you should go to one networking event a month and you should meet one new person a week. Here's the deal, you guys. So the action of being a well-known coach, of having the identity of a successful coach, you're just talking about your business everywhere. You don't have to attend a networking event because you're constantly networking. You're always connecting. You're a connector, connecting other coaches, with the right people. You are talking to other coaches about connecting you. You are talking to people about what you do. You're offering to support and help people. And yes, you're selling coaching. So your friends know what you do. Your coworkers know what you do. Your family has a clear identity of what you do. Listen, one of the actions you're going to take is you're going to be on social media, not thinking about doing it, not preparing to do it, not worrying about getting it right. You're just going to start doing it. Okay? You're going to talk about your business. And the way that you get better at it is you keep talking about it until you get better. You are not trying to build a business. You are somebody who already has a business. You are taking action, not as if you are building the business. You're taking the action as if you already have a business. You're not waiting until you have this done or that done. You are balancing the action taking of creating along with the action of growth, along with the action of doing, of having your business. You are leading people. right? That is physically leading, mentally leading, and then taking action, being a leader. You are claiming the identity. You are stepping into who that is. You are a successful coach. You are well known, and now you act like it. You show up like that. This new identity is you, and this is how you change the world through your coaching. This is how you reach more people. This is how your business unfolds, okay? Physically, mentally, and then with actions. Now, what are the 3 takeaways in this very short little podcast that you're going to take and do? I want you to stop the podcast. I want you to sit down and decide, what are the 3 ways I'm going to shift my identity today to be the well-known coach that I am, to be a coach who has a coaching company, to have this be my career, to be able to show up in a way as if I naturally talk about my business? What are the 3 things that you're going to do and apply today? Open up your notes app on your iPhone or whatever phone you have and make a note of those 3 things. Then I want you to go to your calendar and I want you to put an appointment on your calendar. It can be just a 5-minute time slot, first thing in the morning, where it comes up and reminds you to check into the identity shift that you've chosen. Those 3 things that you've chosen to do to become a coach who is well known. All right. I hope this was helpful to you guys today. Can't wait to see what you're going to do. Make sure you connect with me and share with me the shift that you are going to have, the things you're going to do to become a well-known coach. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye.